A secretary at the North Korean embassy in Vietnam suddenly disappeared one day in 2015. He was an elite diplomat managing Kim Jong-un regime's overseas funds. He was a key figure, overseeing foreign currency operations in Southeast Asia and representing the regime. But this loyal cadre started secretly watching Korean dramas inside the embassy. People laughing and drinking soju at Pyongyang, South Koreans speaking freely. These scenes shook his beliefs. He realized that what North Korea taught as rotten capitalism was actually a lie. He gave up his diplomatic privileges. He had to cut off contact with his family. But why did he risk his life to defect? How exactly did he arrive at Incheon Airport through a secret route? Hello, I'm Han Jae-young, who worked at North Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs departments 6 and 7, then as secretary at the Vietnamese embassy. I received this posting in my mid-30s. Becoming a diplomat is a major privilege in North Korea. I'm from Pyongyang and graduated from Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies. You need good songbun and strong party loyalty to enter the foreign ministry. After graduation, I passed the exam and was assigned to Department 6, handling Southeast Asia. After 3 years at headquarters, I was posted to Vietnam around 2012 as secretary. An overseas assignment was both honor and fear. I had to leave my family in Pyongyang, the hostage system. Even diplomats cannot take families. Arriving in Hanoi was shocking. Hot, humid weather, motorcycles everywhere. The embassy was downtown, and we lived collectively. Secretary-level staff shared rooms, ate together, and reported when going out. My tasks included reviewing trade documents. But we also had to earn foreign currency. The embassy generated its own operating expenses. We managed North Korean restaurants and handled worker dispatches. Diplomats, but also merchants. I was still loyal then, genuinely wanting to serve the homeland. But as time passed in Vietnam, doubts arose. Vietnamese people seemed free, markets overflowed with goods. The rotten capitalism we learned about was nowhere. Hierarchy within the embassy was strict. The ambassador's word was law. Party secretary's surveillance was 247. Weekly life reviews, monthly ideological studies. Even abroad, we couldn't escape the North Korean system. Even abroad, North Korean surveillance was thorough. At the Hanoi embassy, we had 7 a.m. roll call daily. Everyone assembled. Party secretary checked attendance, received daily reports. Going out required permission, always in pairs. A state security agent was stationed separately. Officially diplomatic staff, actually monitoring us. Who acted strange, who contacted foreigners excessively, who wavered ideologically. Saturday afternoons had life review sessions criticizing your mistakes, pointing out colleagues' problems. Monthly party life study sessions. We read Rodong Sinmun, studied the leader's words, underwent ideological inspection. When Jang Song Taek was purged in 2014, emergency assembly lasted 3 days. Everyone presented their position. Any wavering meant suspicion. Travel permits applied abroad too. Leaving downtown Hanoi required ambassador's permission. Once I returned an hour late from dinner with a Vietnamese colleague. Next day, the party secretary interrogated me for an hour. Embassy staff monitored each other. Who embezzled currency, who smuggled, who did personal business. Even close colleagues couldn't be fully trusted. One contemporary was summoned home for getting close to a Vietnamese woman. After returning to Pyongyang, contact ceased. Bribery economy was identical abroad. Good work assignments required bribes to superiors. Home country trips, currency earning rights, even room. Assignments, everything cost money. One counselor reportedly paid $3,000 to the ambassador for restaurant management rights. Even privileged diplomats were ultimately system slaves. Slightly better rations, slightly better housing, but no freedom. Purged anytime, family held hostage anytime, loyalty doubted anytime. I realized no one is safe within this system. Summer 2013, I witnessed the first tragedy as senior diplomat's repatriation. Counselor Kim Young-chul, mid-40s veteran, 7 years in Vietnam. Sudden summons from Pyongyang for ideological inspection. The night before leaving, he came to my room. Jae-young, I probably won't return. His hands trembled. After boarding the Pyongyang flight, all contact ceased. 3 months later, notification said, only discovered as anti-party element and punished. January 2014, First Secretary Park Young-ho disappeared. Embassy turned upside down. 3 days later, Vietnamese security found him on Hanoi's outskirts, attempting escape. A week later, forcibly repatriated to Pyongyang. 2 agents grabbed him, put him on the plane. His face was dead. No news after. Most shocking was September 2014. News came that Minister Tae Yong-ho at the Chinese embassy had defected to South Korea with family. Unprecedented for minister-level diplomat. Embassy went into emergency. 3 days of ideological inspection. The ambassador said, Tae Yong-ho is a traitor. His family will be exterminated for 3 generations. Chills ran down my spine. 3-generation extermination, parents, siblings, children all sent to political prison camps. Embassy atmosphere completely changed. Surveillance intensified, going out controls stricter. 2-person principle became 3-person groups. No one could be trusted. Evening ideological studies daily, weekend self-inspections continued. I felt it then. This system is maintained by fear. Early 2015, another diplomat purged. Thai embassy secretary accused of embezzling currency. Actually, he hadn't filled tribute quota properly. News came of 15-year labor re-education sentence. Diplomatic privilege could collapse instantly. Every night I thought, will tomorrow be my turn? When will I be summoned to Pyongyang? Are my family safe? I spent each day in such fear. A diplomat's life wasn't privilege but prison. Living in Vietnam, I saw a completely different world. Hanoi's markets overflowed with goods. Fruits, vegetables, meat, clothes, electronics, everything. Vietnamese people freely bought and sold. Similar to North Korean Jongmadang but completely different scale and freedom. We learned capitalist societies have extreme wealth gaps. Streets full of homeless. But Hanoi streets showed differently. Poor people existed, but most lived doing their work. Commuting on motorcycles, eating at restaurants, walking laughing with family. The rotten capitalism we learned about was nowhere. Meeting Vietnamese government officials, I was shocked. One early 30s foreign ministry employee came driving his own car. North Korean section chiefs don't have cars yet. Vietnamese low-level employees did. He naturally used his smartphone, freely accessing information online. I envied that freedom. Korean wave content was popular in Vietnam. Korean dramas aired on TV from 2013. My love from the star, Descendants of the Sun. I became curious. So I secretly bought Korean drama DVDs from a Chinese merchant for $20. Watching alone in my room, heart pounding. If caught, big trouble. Korea in dramas was shocking. Clean streets, tall buildings, freely talking laughing people. Pojangmisha scenes sharing worries over drinks. Not the U.S. imperialist colony we learned about. People looked happy, prosperous. Watching nightly, I thought, were we taught lies? Bribery existed in Vietnam but not as severe. Inside North Korean embassy, nothing worked without money. Good work assignments cost at least $1,000 to superiors, home visits over $2,000. Currency earning rights traded for $5,000 to $10,000. Officially prohibited, actually open secret. Some embassy staff did personal business. Selling North Korean cigarettes in Vietnam. Smuggling Vietnamese electronics to North Korea. One counselor sold USB drives Korean dramas and movies bought from Chinese merchants, sold to Pyongyang. Donju for $50 to $100 each. Possible because diplomatic pouches skipped customs inspection. I grew increasingly confused. We learned we're happy thanks to great leader. But diplomats desperately focused on money-making. Claiming to serve people while privileged class corrupts. Shouting socialism while worse mammonism than capitalism exists. Is this really the system we should protect? Doubts grew. March 2015, the decisive life-changing incident occurred. Urgent telegram from Pyongyang, South Korean puppets conducting vicious slander. All staff prepare rebuttal materials immediately. A North Korean human rights resolution passed at the UN Human Rights Council. We had to write rebuttal documents for days. To write the document, I searched related materials online. Diplomats have limited internet access work purposes only. Reading the UN report, my hands trembled. Political prison camp reality, public executions, forced abortions, torture. All true. I knew some, suspected some. But shocking that the whole world knew and it was documented. Writing the rebuttal, my hands shook. This is hostile slander. Our republic has no political prison camps. I knew I was writing lies. The truth I knew and sentences I had to write were complete opposites. Couldn't sleep that night. What am I doing? I've become a tool spreading lies. A month later, bigger shock. A Vietnamese employee asked, Secretary Han, can you freely use internet in North Korea? I couldn't answer. We have our own network. I mumbled. He smiled, then can you see Facebook or YouTube? I said nothing. One May 2015 night, I secretly watched Korean news on YouTube. Dangerous, but I wanted truth. North Korean defector interviews appeared. Their testimony matched what I knew. No, even more terrible stories I didn't know. People born in prison camps who lived 25 years before escaping, public execution witnesses. I cried watching the screen. I realized then what have I been doing? I was a propagandist spreading lies. Under the diplomat name, I deceived the world. Believed I served the homeland, but actually sustained a dictatorship. That night I decided I can no longer participate in these lies. Early June, I received Pyongyang trip orders. 2 weeks to report to Foreign Ministry. I was afraid. Were they suspecting me? Had internet records been discovered? Would I not return like Counselor Kim? Nightmares every night. A week before the trip, I watched another Korean drama. Mi Sang, office worker story. Protagonist freely worrying, choosing, failing, rising again. I envied that. I also want to choose my life. Live without fear. Live without lying. 3 days before the Pyongyang trip, I hardened my resolve. I would escape during this opportunity. I didn't know how, but decided I wouldn't return to Vietnam. Worried about family, but couldn't live like this anymore. I looked in the mirror and pledged I will now live speaking truth. With Pyongyang trip a week away, I planned nightly. How to escape. Running in Vietnam meant embassy would mobilize Vietnamese security. Caught like Secretary Park, dragged to Pyongyang. Escaping in Pyongyang even more impossible. Only method escape during the flight. I carefully gathered information. Pyongyang-Hanoi route transited through Beijing. Transfer time about 3 hours. Could I use that time? But an embassy staffer would accompany me. How to shake them off? Late May, I gathered courage and searched online for Korean embassy location. South Korean embassy in Beijing. 30 minutes by car from airport. But no way to leave airport surveillance too thorough. Then I thought of another method, requesting help inside the airport. June 5th, I secretly wrote a Chinese memo. I am a North Korean diplomat. Applying for political asylum. Please contact Korean embassy. Note to hand to Chinese security or airport staff. Dangerous though China close to North Korea. Might be handed to North Korean embassy. Still worth trying. Family thoughts arose. Mother and younger sister in Pyongyang. What would happen if I escaped? Regulation said 3 generations punished. Could be sent to political prison camps. Every night, family faces appeared, couldn't sleep. But I couldn't continue serving this system. Couldn't keep lying. June 10th, 2 days before trip, I wrote family a letter in my room. Unsendable letter, but to organize feelings. Mother, sorry. I can no longer live lying. I realize this system is wrong. Hope we meet again someday. Tears came writing. I begged forgiveness for abandoning family. Colleague faces also arose. People who worked with me. They'd be suspected too. Would have to criticize me in life reviews. They'd also be harmed. I felt sorry, but had to choose. June 11th, night before trip, I packed. Minimal clothing, diplomatic ID, passport. About $500. And 1 USB internal embassy materials. Thought if I reached Korea, could submit as evidence. I looked around the room last time. 3-year living space. Room I'd never return to. My North Korean diplomat life ending here. I took deep breath. Afraid, but no regrets. The path toward freedom. June 12th morning, headed to airport for Pyongyang bound plane. But my destination wasn't Pyongyang. It was South Korea. The last gamble of my life had begun. June 12, 2015 morning, arrived at Hanoi Noi Bai Airport. Embassy vehicle dropped me off. One state security agent accompanied Comrade Kim Sung-chul. He'd go with me to Pyongyang to monitor. At entrance he said, "Secretary Han, give good report in Pyongyang." I nodded. Inside, heart felt like bursting. After boarding procedures, past departure gate. Air Koryo JS 152, Hanoi to Pyongyang via Beijing. Seat was mid-economy. Kim Sung-chul sat next to me. Plane took off. Looking out window, I thought this might be last flight. If I fail, might die. 2.5 hours later, arrived Beijing Capital Airport. Transfer time 3 hours. Kim and I moved to transit area. Fortunately no Chinese immigration. Had to sit in transit waiting area. Kim started reading North Korean newspaper. I said needed bathroom. Kim looked up. Go alone. Return within 10 minutes. I stood. Hands trembling. Walking to bathroom, looked around. Airport staff, Chinese security, passengers. Who to ask help? Near bathroom entrance, Chinese airport staff stood. Woman in 30s. I approached, said in small voice in Chinese, "Please help. I'm North Korean diplomat. Want political asylum." Handed prepared note. She looked shocked. Just moment. Took out radio. Less than 5 minutes, 2 Chinese security appeared. Took me to separate room. Really North Korean diplomat? I showed diplomatic ID. They exchanged glances. Please contact Korean embassy. Applying for political asylum. I said again. One made phone call. After quick Chinese conversation. Looked at me, wait 30 minutes. I waited. Outside, Kim must be looking for me. Didn't return after 10 minutes, must be suspicious. Might have contacted embassy. After about 25 minutes, 2 South Korean embassy staff arrived. Asked in Korean, "You're Han Jae-young? Want asylum?" I nodded, tears came. "Yes, please help. Want to become South Korean citizen." They moved quickly, consulted Chinese security, filled documents, guided me to vehicle. Leaving airport, I looked back. Saw Kim talking with airport staff. Looking for me, but already too late. I got in Korean embassy vehicle, headed downtown Beijing. At embassy, formally filled asylum application. Korean diplomats treated me kindly. "You're safe now. You'll go to Korea soon." That night slept at embassy accommodation. First time in 3 years slept comfortably. No surveillance, no fear. 3 days later, arrived Incheon Airport on civilian flight. Unofficial route, entered secretly. Came down through special airport passage, got in NIS vehicle. Moment I stepped on South Korean soil, I became free person. After Incheon arrival, immediately got in NIS vehicle. Korean scenery through window was unfamiliar yet exciting. Clean roads, orderly vehicles, tall buildings. Exactly as dramas showed. Car headed to Seoul outskirts building NIS investigation facility. NIS investigation took about 2 weeks. But completely different from North Korean imagination. Investigators were polite, no intimidation or torture. "Please speak comfortably. We're here to protect you." First day investigator said. Investigation was mainly identity verification and North Korean information. What work at Foreign Ministry 6th Department? Explain Vietnamese embassy structure. How does currency earning work? Specific professional questions. I answered honestly what I knew. Amazing was NIS intelligence capability. They already knew quite a lot about Vietnamese embassy. Counselor Kim visited November 2014, right? Meeting on embassy cafeteria 2nd floor, we understand. Amazed how they knew these things. Even had internal CCTV footage. Even internal videos only we watched. Because diplomatic background, didn't go to Hanawan. Regular defectors receive 3 months Hanawan Education Society adaptation, vocational training. But I came directly into society due to security issues. No peers, no one to adapt with. Honestly bit lonely. First Seoul streets after investigation ended early July 2015. Summer. Walked Myeongdong, so many people. Everyone freely laughing, chatting, shopping. Too many signs, hard to find way. North Korea has almost no signs can't put up without state permission. Went to Pyongyang place from dramas. Somewhere around Jongno. Sat under red tent. Ajuma came over. What would you like? Tone was soft, kind. Completely different from North Korean speech. Fish cake and soju, please. Perhaps remaining North Korean accent. Next table people looked at me. Bit uncomfortable but tried not caring. Taking taxi was also difficult. Said, please go Jongno 3 ga. Driver couldn't understand North Korean pronunciation. Had to repeat several times. Once driver asked, are you Chinese? Korea adaptation wasn't easy. Food hard to adapt. Too sweet, too stimulating. North Korean food is bland. Korean food has much seasoning. Stomach upset first months. Adapted a lot now, but still prefer bland food. Also went Seoul Station. In North Korea, learned many kotjebi around stations. But Seoul Station was clean. Few homeless in underground passage, but police managing them. Why are they here? Asked police. They're out by own choice. Shelters and support available, but these people don't want them. Completely different concept from North Korea. 10 years past now, completely settled in South Korea. Korean speech much more natural. Eat Korean food well now. Sometimes think of North Korean family, but don't regret my choice. Here can speak freely, live without fear. Don't have to lie, don't have to be monitored.